Bulgarskaya. Let's see the Bulgari population, how it's to be in the past, how it's going to be in the future, and what is the future for the Bulgarian people. Now, right now the population is going down 6.7 million, and also the growing rate, let's say they kind of stabilize it, but still they're going downhill. Now, back in 1955, 7.5 million people, and they have a growing rate of 0.77, and 57,000 people enter the world. Even back then, they have a migration on minus. Even in the communist era, they still pretty much from the entire history, except a few years in the pandemic, they have all the migration on minus according to this data. The median age back in 1955 was 28 years old, and the fertility rate 2.37, which is, I would say, a good one for sustainable the population. And also the global rank was 52, so not that bad for a country that small. Bulgaria is not one of those huge countries in Europe, but also not the smallest one. It's let's say a medium-sized country. Now, fast forward to 2025, you're gonna see the population shrink at 6.7 million, and they continue to going down. Like I say, from the only one you can see growing population is until 1990, and you're gonna see in 1985 actually, you're gonna see they almost reach 9 million, and now they're going down from the 9 to 6.7. The yearly changes is minus 0.64, and also they lose around 40,000 people. Migration, they go back on the minus after the 2020. Like I said, when the pandemic started, a lot of people just migrate back. I would say all those people who are in Europe, they kind of go back home. I would say, I'm not sure about that, but I think that also they have probably some migration from the Turkey side. But now in 2025 they go back on the minus when they used to be from the entire history of this chart. And the median age now it's 45 years old, so much older, I would say. Fertility rate 1.74, so below replacement, and now the global rank is 110, so more than double that. Now in the future, Bulgaria is gonna be, let's say 2050, 5.4 million, so you can almost see, not entirely, by this chart, from 9 million to 2050, 5.4 million. So I would say they're gonna go in 2050 is gonna be well below 5 million. I don't think those that are exactly accurate, but it just shows how fast they're going down. So probably they're gonna be around 4.5, so half of the population that used to be in 1985. So that's an insanely drop in your lifetime. Let's say if you're born in 1980, let's say, you can actually see a population going in half in your lifetime. There's got to be some huge changes that you have to see it. Some changes with say with the naked eyes. You don't have to look at the data when you have half population pretty much disappear from the country. And also the median age go to 48 from 40. I was 45. Not a huge increase, but they're still going down. But as you can see, the migration, let's say, slows down compared with what used to be before pandemic years, but still on the minus. And the yearly changing, it's gonna grow by percentage, but by how many people, obviously they're gonna lose people. They're gonna slow down about how many people actually leave, but not that much. There's gonna be around 50,000 people disappearing every year, probably even more. Like I said, those data is not exactly extremely accurate, but we're gonna see the fertility rate is gonna peak down, but 1.7 ago, it is closer to replacement rate than other countries, but still they're not hitting that target, and probably they're gonna go even lower than that. If they declare at 1.7, probably it's around 1.4, 1.5 at the best. Now, what I'm not talking about, in 1955 the population was 33%, let's call it, in the a third of the country live in a city. 2025, 77%, of just more than double. And by 2050 is going to be 85%. So most of the country is going to remain pretty much empty. And Bulgaria, it's a mountain country. In those areas you can see, and also have some lowlands. So they kind of have a bit from everything. Most of the people probably going to choose to live, as always, in a lowland around the water, and they have also some let's say beachfront view here at the Black Sea. So You're gonna see a few of them too. But like I say, half a population in a few years, you just actually, I don't know if you saw a country that just loses half a population in how many years? Let's calculate that. 15 with, let's going with 45 at the best, in 60 years. So in a lifetime, you can actually see the population going in half, which is insane. But I think that's the reality in Europe, and especially in Eastern Europe, in a country when pretty much, I have to say, no opportunity whatsoever. Now, the life expectancy is pretty much a classic one in Europe. They going up, but you can see not by huge in some of the years, and just pretty much you're gonna have some years they're gonna just slows down the growth, or even stays the same. But for both sexes, is 76 years old, female 80 years old, and males around 72, 73. So there is a gap between female and between females and males, but not a huge one, I would say. Infant mortality 4.9, and death under age of 5.9. That shows some problem in a healthcare system and also in the economic, because death under age of 5 is gonna show how exactly you raise your kids and in which environment. So you can see how well they're doing even by those two metrics, I would say. In the city area, the biggest one is Sofia with 1.1 million people, and the rest of them just go under 1 million. Pretty hard, I would say. So you're gonna have so many people living in the urban area. I would say the population gonna be pretty much stable in those big cities. They lose population in the countryside, so you're gonna see small villages in Bulgaria just pretty much disappear or empty. Who knows, maybe you're gonna see some documentary pretty soon. You're gonna see some villages that used to be a lot of people, let's say 30 years ago, and now they're pretty much empty. That's gonna show a picture about where this Bulgaria is heading. And also not just Bulgaria, pretty much all the Eastern European countries. And like I say, even Greece, they're not in a good position too. And let's say they have a much better environment than Bulgaria. So yeah, that was about Bulgaria. Those numbers that we see here, I think, again, they're not exactly accurate. I think the population is going to drop even faster than that. And also, I have to say that fertility rate, I think it's a bit lower than that. I don't see it at 1.7 when you're losing that much people that fast. So that's another metrics that I don't fully trust, I would say. But yeah, overall, Bulgaria, if it's hard to just say if they somehow make a breakthrough in the economics, they're gonna be decent, or well, at least for those people who remain. I don't think that's gonna happen. Like I say, it's the same story with pretty much all the Eastern European countries. That just shows you have less people, and your GDP, your numbers goes up. It seems like the people are more efficient, but you're not gonna feel it as much as you wanted to feel it to just have, let's say, a huge improvement in your life. And that's one of those things that I think is gonna pretty much tax every single European country, especially the eastern part of the country. But also Bulgaria is one of those countries that they start in 1955 with, let's say, a decent population, and right now they are lower than it used to be. Also, they're getting much lower. But I believe those, like I said, those 9 million people, especially in the communist era, they're not exactly natural numbers. Everybody knows how those times used to be. And even Bulgaria, like I say, is not a small country, but probably a good population for this area is going to be around 2 million people, I would say, maybe even less than that. The land, it's sufficient for them, also some resources, but it feels like in those ex-communist countries, they kind of overreach for population, and it feels like they have more people than they needed, especially when you can see the GDP still going up, the people going down, they became more efficient. And I think that shows you do not need that many people. And also, if you put 80% of the people how they have in Bulgaria, 77 now and 85 by 2050, you just jam them in a city with let's say not that good buildings. You're gonna look later at Bulgaria how actually they look. I've been in Bulgaria a few times, and I have to say I really don't like the housing there. You're gonna see it why later in this day, and you're gonna jam them in those let's say in a big city like Sofia, the biggest. You'll see it's not gonna be a pretty sight there to just live your life, and that is gonna take a huge toll on you, I would say. If you live in Bulgaria and you are not agree with me or disagree with me, feel free to comment in the comment section, no problem. This is what I think. You don't have to agree, but like I said, I was in Bulgaria a few times, and every time I go there, you see some improvements, especially in the infrastructure. But like I said, you see those numbers going down that fast, and you're gonna see how actually the country looks. Especially, we're judging not the land itself, we're judging by the architecture, the construction, the infrastructure, stuff like that. We're gonna judge not the land itself. You're gonna see why people are pretty much done with replacing, let's say, the old population.